Good evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, despite an outcry and much debate, a parliamentary committee has decided that it will keep the subsidy in the parliament canteen. The head of the committee says that MPs have privileges that are a part of a tradition which must continue. But why should parliament food be subsidised? Should MPs give up this privilege? Also tonight, our tribute to former President Kalam. His aide, who was with him in his last hours on Monday, joins us as we remember the people's president. But first, on the program tonight, just before the Gurdaspur attack in Punjab yesterday, in which 7 people were killed, the 3 terrorists who are believed to have crossed over from Pakistan were captured on 2 separate CCTV cameras, footage that could now provide valuable information for investigators who are trying to piece together a timeline and exact sequence of events. The first CCTV camera shows the 3 men on foot in army fatigues and armed, walking down the road at around 4:55 in the morning. The second one has a timestamp of 5:18 in the morning. By this time, they had already snatched a Maruti car after firing at its owner. The terror trio then used this car to drive up to the Dinanagar police station, which they made their hideout for the next almost 12 hours. The 3 terrorists are picked up by the first security camera placed at an intersection just before they entered the town of Dinanagar. The footage shows them, as we said, wearing these army fatigues at 4:55 in the morning with AK-47s in hand. Minutes later, they tried unsuccessfully to snatch a tempo for its driver, killing a dhaba owner in the process. Next, they opened fire on a bus, injuring 6 passengers. A man heading to buy vegetables in his Maruti then became the next target. Now, another CCTV camera placed across the road from the Dinanagar police station shows the terrorists driving up in the white Maruti that they had snatched at about 5:18 in the morning. 5 to 7 minutes later, people can be seen running for cover after firing began indiscriminately. Both videos, as we said, vital clues now for investigators. Anand Patel has more as we loop this footage for you and give you a chance to look at it again. Anand, just take us through, what we're looking at here and how important this could be for investigators.
Well, Nidhi, the time in the CCTV footage indicates that the 3 attackers, when they are walking down towards Dinanagar, just before they unleashed the reign of terror on this town, it shows 4:55 a.m. in the morning. So that's the time, and the place, what we are being told, is Taragarh intersection. So that's just before Dinanagar. So that's the time when they had landed at this intersection and they started walking towards Dinanagar, and that's the time when they first fired at a tempo, as you just said, and from there on they started firing indiscriminately, first at the bus and then at the car owner who was injured. And in the second CCTV footage, it's very clear that they are firing indiscriminately on this highway which passes through Dinanagar, and people are running for cover. As you can see, one man falling just next to a car because of the firing. And then in the footage it shows that the white Maruti car comes and screeches to a halt at the police station, at this Dinanagar police station, and then the terrorists go inside firing indiscriminately. And right behind me is the entrance to the main police station at the Thana, and the sentry who was posted here, he was hit by a bullet, but he closed the door not to allow the terrorists get inside. Had they got inside, what we are being told is that they would have taken control of the entire ammunition which is there inside the police station, and that would have helped them to hold on even longer than what they actually could manage with the ammunition they were carrying. So the policemen who were there on duty inside the police station saved the day for the entire police force which was there in the operation. Nidhi?
All right. Anand, thanks a lot for that. And in fact, there's also a video that has emerged which is showing how 2 children were rescued from a building in the middle of the heavy gunfire that was just a few meters away of the from the police station complex that those terrorists were inside. The children were apparently not even fully aware of the danger that they were in. The police officer is heard telling them not to laugh and asking how many of them there were inside. Pretty dramatic stuff there. Well, moving on to our political debate tonight, the head of the Parliamentary Committee has decided to go ahead and keep the government subsidy in the Parliament canteen, has told NDTV this is a privilege that MPs have and is part of a parampara or tradition that must continue. Jitendra Reddy was actually annoyed when we asked why such a subsidy should continue. He says the media doesn't understand the struggle of members of Parliament. The government has spent nearly 61 crores over the last 5 years on the canteen, where MPs pay just 25 rupees for fish and chips and 18 rupees for a mutton cutlet.
Good, wholesome food at prices that are even more mouth-watering. Yet another privilege of being a member of Parliament, and ignoring an online campaign and several petitions against it, the Parliamentary Food Committee has unanimously voted to continue to offer themselves subsidized food.
We have some privileges which is parampara, which is coming from so many years. We got a house, we got a telephone, we got electricity, we got a subsidy on food, we got air tickets, we got all this. So tomorrow morning you're going to say that why all this? Well, should we bow to that?
To be fair, it's not just the MPs who eat at the Parliament canteen. In all, 8,000 people use it, including secretariat staff, journalists and security personnel. But some MPs feel they should give up the subsidy.
I think that it is not necessary for MPs to provide subsidy at all. That's my concerned view.
The subsidies which is provided in the Sunday hall, especially for the food, should be taken off and it should be passed on to more priority sector.
So the subsidized food available to the staff, employees who are working in an establishment is a custom, it is a convention prevailing in our country as a whole. You are isolating this issue alone. A bad message has been gone to the public. It is quite unfortunate. So stopping subsidy in the Parliament canteen means we have to stop the subsidy everywhere, not only the MPs.
A parliamentary committee might have decided not to do away with subsidies, but the government and the Speaker realized the sense of public outrage and the petitions demanding for a correction in their food bill. The question is how soon and by when will they make that course correction? With camera person Ravi, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
So the question is whether members of Parliament should be getting subsidized food in this day and age. Joining us tonight is MB Rajesh, Lok Sabha MP of the CPIM. We'll be joined by Mr. KC Tyagi and Dushyant Chautala shortly as well. Shobha Dey joins us tonight from Mumbai and Sohail Seth from here in Delhi. Let me get Sohail and Shobha in first. Shobha Dey, one of the things that MPs who are batting for this subsidy argue is that it's very few MPs who actually eat here. Many journalists eat here. Parliament staff eats here. So why are you saying that this subsidy should go? Shobha Dey, your views.
I'm first of all appalled at the use of the word parampara. There's an MP who's talking about this being a parampara that has to be respected and is brazenly asking, I mean, today you're telling us no subsidies for our khana pina. Tomorrow you'll say do away with other privileges. The point is simple. Who's paying for this? Who's paying for the subsidies? I have a feeling it's us. And if the taxpayers are to pay pampered MPs to eat at these ridiculously low prices, I think the MPs themselves, if they have any shame at all in a country like this where the starvation deaths stare us in the face, that they expect to get subsidized food and they think of it as part of the parampara. Their parampara should be to serve the people. And the manner in which this argument is being taken forward, by all means offer subsidized meals to those who deserve it, to the staff, and maybe a few starving journalists too. They don't make the kind of money our parliamentarians do. They don't please the public.
None of the journalists are starving. I can tell you that. I think all of us can afford.
So what
we can afford to pay for our own food, and we don't need subsidized food either.
Not
and
just
if the media
that.
is taking advantage of it.
Exactly. We wouldn't want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So I think these MPs should have some shame when they ask for subsidies. They really should have some shame. They should be feeding the poor of this country. They should be working for us. We are working for them and feeding them.
MB Rajesh, as a member of Parliament, where do you stand on this debate? Because we've seen that there are many parliamentarians like Jay Panda, for instance, who actually wrote a letter to the Speaker saying that the privilege should be removed to ensure greater public trust and confidence. And he's called this an oddity of a privilege. and essentially made a comparison with the LPG subsidy that now the government is asking people to give up, saying that the removal of this food subsidy would be a right step in affecting greater public trust. Mr. Rajesh, where do you stand on this as a Member of Parliament?
Yes, I too received a letter from Mr. Jay Panda requesting to give up this food subsidy in Parliament House. So I'm going to give him a detailed reply. Anyway, this entire campaign and their debate is emanating from a mindset which is against subsidies. So that is the point. That is the real point. And that is why this entire debate is meaningless. It is sheer hypocrisy. A group of billionaire MPs who owns private jets and who are so affluent and rich, these MPs, in collaboration with corporate media and in collaboration with some journalists who are drawing a salary of more than ₹1 crore per annum, they are unleashing this campaign. And have you ever done a debate on corporate subsidies, huge subsidies doled out to corporates and richer sections in our country? So that is the real issue. If as far as I am concerned, I eat only once from Parliament canteen, that too in 80 or 90 days when the Parliament is in session. I am ready to give up that. If that will solve all the problems, I can easily give it up. And I rarely eat from Parliament canteen because I am staying nearby in VP House. And so that is not the real issue. The real issue is that I would like to draw the attention of respected Shobha Dey, and she was talking about starvation and everything. Can the whole problem can be solved by giving up subsidies or denying subsidy to the Parliament canteen? The issue is that I would like to draw the attention of Shobha Dey to the huge subsidies given to richer sections. In the last financial year alone, more than 5.82 lakh crores have been given as tax exemptions and tax holidays. And had that subsidy was not given, had that tax exemptions were not given, we would have a surplus budget of more than 50,000 crores.
I'm going to take your argument to Suhail Seth, Mr. Rajesh.
The real issue is not these paltry amounts given to subsidies.
No, okay. You're saying it's a paltry amount. I'll take your argument to Suhail first. Suhail, MB Rajesh says this is a meaningless, hypocritical debate, that these are billionaire MPs who are against this subsidy, who are working in with what he called the corporate media, and tax breaks given to corporates is how he's comparing subsidies given to elected representatives and the use of taxpayers' money. Do you buy that, Suhail? Is it a fair comparison?
Firstly, greetings from civilized Bombay. Secondly, Delhi is the capital of freedom fighters in India, because most of them, mostly in Parliament, fight for anything that's free. That's the general lay of the land. His argument is not only erroneous, it is extremely illogical, and I worry for him for three reasons. Number one, Parliament subsidy is not about just the subsidy, it's about a culture of fattening of the lay of the land. Number two, don't tell me that MPs are poor and that Mr. Rajesh only has one meal and the rest of the time he eats at AP Bhavan, which by the way is also subsidized by some taxpayers in Andhra Pradesh. The logic is, when these people fight elections, do they fight elections out of poverty? Don't they have money to fight elections? So there is a modicum of wealth available to each one of them. I'm not for a moment suggesting that Mr. Rajesh has done anything illegal. But Mr. Rajesh, we are talking about an India that must be just and fair. You are the elected representatives of 1.28 billion people. You need to set an example. You don't need to come to television studios and point an accusatory finger at other areas which need course correction. You may be absolutely right that certain tax breaks to corporate India may not be conducive. But that's a separate argument. You can't argue for yourself by blaming people other than yourselves. Because you're in Parliament, you're the lawmaker, you're setting a course for this country, and if you can't lead by example, then what kind of leadership do you have? So the argument, Mr. Rajesh, that you should be making is not about counting colleagues as billionaires, but by talking about the fact that yes, parliamentarians are willing to give up subsidies which are meaningless, pointless, and are of the taxpayer. They're not your money, the money that's being subsidized or being spent is ridiculous. So you have to appreciate, Mr. Rajesh, as a statesman, as a parliamentarian, that we are not asking for you to starve. We are not asking for you to be deprived of your parliamentary privileges. All we are saying is the time has come for Rajesh and his ilk to lead by example. Is that an unfair thing to ask, Mr.
I'll get Mr. Rajesh to respond to that, but let me just get Mr. K.C. Tyagi, Rajya Sabha MP of the JDU in as well. Mr. Tyagi, where do you stand on this debate, sir? Do you believe, like Mr. Rajesh, that everyone who's criticizing this subsidy is being hypocritical and there's a double standard here, or that MPs should lead the way and let go?
निधि किसी भी सांसद ने या किसी भी पार्टी ने संसद की किसी कमेटी से कभी भी किसी प्रकार की सब्सिडी के लिए कोई न रिक्वेस्ट की है न डिमांड की है। नंबर 2, अगर ये सब्सिडी वापस हो जाती है, हम में से कोई भी एमपी ऐसा नहीं है जो इसका विरोध करेगा। जो मेरे दोस्त अभी कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के बोल रहे थे, मैं उनसे एग्री करता हूं। और लेकिन मेरा सुहेल सेठ जी, आपसे बहुत नम्र निवेदन है, मैं आपका बड़ा इज्जत करता हूं। कितनी सब्सिडी सोचते? 19% एमपीज जो हैं, जो अभी ताजा रिपोर्ट आई है, 19% एमपी वहां पर खाना खाते हैं। और सुहेल सेठ जी, मैं आपको एक दिन ले जा सकता हूं वहां पर, अगर आप वहां का खाना खा लें। जया बच्चन जी ने और हमारी दूसरे समाजवादी दोस्त हैं रामगोपाल यादव जी ने, उन्होंने दो दिन खाना खाया और उन्हें दोनों को हॉस्पिटलाइज होना पड़ा। वहां पे कैंटीन के अंदर जो है वो किचन भी नहीं है, खाना सुबह बन के आता है और शाम तक वही खाना रहता है। जो भी एमपी खाएगा वो बीमार हो जाएगा, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, बिल्कुल ठीक कहने मेरे दोस्त जो हैं, ये जो जिनकी, अब ये भी मत कहिए कि आप प्लीज ये भी मत कहिए कि सभी एमपी पैसे वाले होते हैं पैसे वाले एमपी, करोड़पति एमपी की संख्या बड़ी है। लेकिन इसी देश के अंदर 70,000 करोड़ रुपए की सब्सिडी या रेवेन्यू टैक्सेस का एग्जेम्पशन हुआ है हीरे और सोने व्यापारियों के लिए इसी बजट में। ये जो बजट अब गया है, कभी क्या आप लोग उस पर भी कभी आवाज उठाते हो कि 70,000 करोड़ रुपए का आपने एक्साइज और कस्टम का शुल्क क्यों माफ कर दिया हीरा व्यापारी पर? नेवर।